Sophie Bettman-Kerson and Bill Doyle on Vermont Issues here on the 13th of June 2018 in sunny downtown Montpelier, capital of
I'm not going to use that word.
Vermont. Vermont.
I'm not going to subscribe to Montpelier. I think it's a great city.
It is a fabulous city.
An amazing city.
It really is. So we've talked a lot, and I want to say that one of the most impressive things that I've witnessed in your career is the amount of participation that your students have had in your life after they've been in class with you. And I'm wondering if you can talk about that a little bit, the concept of participation, conversation, and the confidence that comes out of that in building students who are the future of our society. Is there something that created that combination for you, or that you witnessed it worked? Was there an example that you can talk about?
Well, the key story for me was that the students at Johnson State College, who were truly remarkable, and it's really the story because so many of them went on to many went served in politics and became chairs of legislative committees and have made a real difference. So the students themselves are crucial. I put them number one, but number two is the college, because the college didn't put any restraints on anybody who's teaching. It was you're on your own teaching. No one ever told me once you cover this topic. So, and that was the way the college treated the entire faculty. We were on our own, and we felt the fact that we had the freedom to choose and interview the people that we wanted to talk about. So that's the story about Johnson. I wouldn't have gone. I'm so fortunate that I ended up at Johnson. And even more important and good fortune was the fact that I came to Vermont. I mean, Vermont, when I was younger, I shuddered at the thought of even think about going to anything further north than New York or New England. That was frigid. I couldn't handle it. And yet I would say that after a week I fell in love with the state, and I've just been my good fortune to be able to be at Johnson for 60 years. So that's really the story, and the story is that to what degree our students have represented the college so well.
So when you first got to Johnson, you have talked about a project where you sent students to go help teachers immediately, right? I mean, you were like, hi, my name's Bill Doyle, go teach.
Well, I was asked to teach history and government.
Okay.
But on top of that, they asked me if I would talk about Lamoille County, and the way I accepted the challenge. I went to all the Lamoille County towns, went to their schools, talked to their students and their teachers, and we ended up with a wonderful small book on Lamoille County. So that was important to me, because for a new person who just moved to Vermont to know more about their county, and for me to investigate what Lamoille County was all about was something very special, and it's something I didn't ask for, but I ended up appreciating the assignment.
And did many of those students go on to become professors or teachers in their own right?
Well, I think they all, the young people did well in their own chosen profession. At that time, if you went to Johnson, you would be a teacher.
I see.
But I would say on that score, they all became very excellent teachers.
When did it change? When did Johnson change to multiple discipline?
Well, it's from being a teacher's college to a more traditional college. That's your question.
Yeah.
And I would say about 20, 25 years ago. So instead of being a teacher's college, it became a college,
Liberal arts.
liberal arts college.
And did you see a difference in the outcome when that happened? Were your students more focused on a general experience rather than a job opportunity out
I
of
think
it?
from the state's point of view, it was important to have a teacher's college, but the teacher's college as an investment, a better investment was make it a college itself, because teachers have to be well-rounded in teaching everything.
Right.
I think the state said that don't restrict Johnson because a teacher's college. Let them be out there and make them study all courses, all challenges, and match up for a very curriculum that covers many different topics: history, government, math, science, you name it.
So as a professor at Johnson, was there a point where your involvement changed? Like you went from, I don't know, did you have to change how you taught at that time? Or was there a point where your abilities as a teacher changed and you were able to step up a game? Or
Well, I went to a very traditional college, so those traditions stayed with me.
okay.
And the imprint of Johnson State College was a Vermont version, and the Vermont changed in a couple of years from a teacher's college to a state college.
But I mean, as a professor, when you first got there, I guess you were already sending the students out into the world to go learn, right? So that part didn't change. Was there something else that did, or?
Oh, I guess learning by doing was always up there, but I also had faith in every student. I never gave up on any student that I had, and I had the freedom, as I said earlier, to teach the way I wanted to. And I must give a lot of credit to my colleagues at Johnson State College, who sometimes I would invite into the classroom and pay tradition compliments to the people in Vermont who served in the legislature, who would come to the class and added so much to the class, because the graduates, the Johnson graduates, one of they thought the highlights of teaching was the bringing in governors and the legislators, not only in our state but other states.
Yeah, I have to say your class is just so exceptionally packed with goodness. I got to meet the governor before he was governor in your class. It was still
Was that
campaigns and elections. Phil Scott before he was governor. Phil Scott.
right?
It was really cool.
Yeah, and he still is the governor, and is very highly involved, and it's not the easiest job in the world to be the governor of a state, particularly when you're having budgetary issues that
Yeah.
the state is going through now, and all states, not just Johnson.
Did he go to Johnson?
No, Phil Scott.
Yeah.
I think he
probably went to UVM.
No, he went to UVM, and he wanted to be a teacher.
Oh.
But then I think he was very good with his hands, and he had very good in business, and he had a motorcycle industry in Morristown, and he thought that the state didn't give industries like motorcycle industry or any other kind of industry enough freedom, and I think that that's the way other colleges would. So it went, as you see, from a teacher's college focus, it went to a college, a typical college that would open up avenues of discussion on any topic. any normal college topic to be a normal college institution, a traditional college institution.
So you've been right in the middle of this whole thing of population in Vermont not increasing,
Decreasing,
right? In fact,
right?
the need for more money for professors or students or whatever, financial requirements this year.
More money for
means.
potential students who will have to go out in the world that they're well prepared for a variety of topics.
Right. And you've been in the legislature all this time. So you've been in a very unique situation to watch Vermont deal with situations that are ongoing. So how do you think Vermont can best promote the assets that we have? I mean, if I were God, I would just follow you around. I'm telling you, Bill. You've done exceptional things for the students of the state of Vermont. But like in the how do you say it, the consolidation of Roxbury and Montpelier, do you think that kind of consolidation in education is going to give the strength to Vermonters that they need to be individuals in politics?
Well, Vermont didn't take the lead in consolidation. What took the lead at the decline in population gave the choice, no choice,
Right.
but maybe to merge some schools, and because having 3 or 4 people in a class doesn't really help the educational aspirations of any individual.
And do you think that as smaller classes are dwindling, the bigger classes are able to provide not competition, but a sort of a broader view of opportunity for those kids?
The bigger classes didn't get bigger; even the bigger classes got less.
Even those got less.
Of course, we've been losing population for the last 35 or 40 years, and now we're at a point, Sophie, that Vermont is paying money to bring people into this state.
I know. Should we move to Massachusetts for a month? Oh my goodness, that's a great idea.
Now, I think that if you're going to have a college, you're going to have to support it financially, and that's what it was all about. And I think that the legislators and the governors are facing tough choices. They've dealt with that issue very well. And one example, just in our own county, Washington County, Roxbury and Montpelier. Roxbury thought it would be a good idea if they joined Montpelier, and Montpelier decided that it was a very good idea. It was good for the budgets of both institutions, and then Montpelier students had a chance to see young people coming from a more rural area like Roxbury than, say, Montpelier.
And have you had the opportunity to talk with some of the students or the combined class outcomes? Have you heard of any?
It's so new. We're only doing it in the last year.
Yeah.
So the jury is out. But I can say that I think it's been a benefit, and the people from Roxbury have said it's been beneficial, and the people from Montpelier have called it beneficial. And I commend the boards of Roxbury and Montpelier for what they've done.
Yeah, I do think it's it's sort of a sad thing to let a small country school concept go, but at the same time, like you're saying, the opportunities aren't necessarily smaller or bigger, but they're equal and more supported.
The smaller schools, which has many benefits, some had to be closed out. So I never thought that closing out a school would be necessary. You wouldn't close the school; you'd see it, find a partner for it, and let those partners to select themselves.
So when you did the Lamoille project, when you first came to Vermont, were those schools more full than they are now?
Well, that was a special request by the administration at Johnson State College. It's not unusual for a college to ask a faculty member to do something a little bit more, and they said, "Well, you do Lamoille County," and would you bring Lamoille County and have a course on having to do with Lamoille County? So I went to every town in Lamoille County. I brought students who became excellent advisors to the 5th and 6th grade, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So, I enjoyed it. Even today, I sort of still remember Lamoille County, and I can say, I had nothing to do with it, but the Lamoille County is doing quite well. It's increasing in population, and it's in very good hands. I'm taking nothing away from any other counties, but I think Lamoille is doing quite well.
I love in the photos that you collected from that time of the classes and they're teaching dancing. I mean, it's so sweet. They're outside. They're really engaged in the things that made life fun as well. And I wonder do you think education in modern times addresses like a well-rounded education?
Well, I thought I fell in love with the Lamoille County and the people I worked with, and I simply say that the small towns dealt with the issues before them in small classes and so on. They dealt with it very, very well and compliment Lamoille County as being today a very outstanding county.
Yeah. And do you think the combination of the country schools and the city schools will bring more of that to the table, or?
Well, certainly in the case of Roxbury and Montpelier.
Mm-hmm. I hope you're right. It's a good idea, and I think, it's too bad to get rid of the little schools, but at the same time, like you say, if they can bring a little bit of their country flair, then it's going to strengthen the curriculum ultimately.
The goal was never to eliminate schools, but if they fell below certain population standards, they were encouraged to find a partner.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful. So, I mean, are there specific advantages that you've looked for in that combination?
Well, I wasn't part of the Roxbury Montpelier organization and coming together, but I'd rather commend the people in Roxbury and Montpelier for reaching out and coming up with a better solution than they had before.
Right.
Montpelier was losing population. They had budgetary problems. Roxbury had budgetary problems.
Yeah.
And Roxbury could possibly have been eliminated unless the people in Roxbury had taken a leadership role and said, let's find another partner. And that help our budget and help our education.
So I want to talk about something else that you took a leadership role in Central Vermont, and that is our beloved Mountaineers.
Well, the Mountaineers are just a remarkable asset to the city of Montpelier, but not to Washington County, and the adjoining counties. People, the fans who come from all over the state, mostly the northern part of the state.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's hard to put some of the southern counties, like Bennington, would be quite a distance.
Yeah, what is that, 2 hours?
You wouldn't go to 2 hours to see a ball game, but it helps enormously the 5 or 6 towns that surround Johnson.
And they play in North Adams,
Yes,
right?
yes.
A couple of times. So
They do play in North Adams.
that's not far from Bennington, right?
No, not
They
far
can
from.
go cheer for the home team there.
It's just that they can do it on a couple of games a year, but not put them on the schedule where they have regular trips to Bennington. That would be too much.
Yeah, yeah. And so have you had the opportunity to speak with any of the players this year?
Well, yes. Well, we've just formed, but in former years, I had a person went to a college that I attended.
Oh.
And got to know him quite well, and I took him out to local restaurants simply because he had come from the college that I was familiar with.
Your alma mater.
That's correct. So I was very proud. I felt that in a small college like Johnson, like any small college, you can get to know the students very well, and getting to know the students very well on the baseball diamond or the gridiron or in sports in general is extremely important, because you get to know the students as they perform in the sports, and it helps in the classroom understanding.
And I mean, is it really common that people will do a sport and a college career? I mean, it seems like a plateful.
Well, they do a sport because you're required to do it.
Oh, you are?
Well,
In
I mean
a standard college,
the state,
right?
The state requires
Oh,
topics
okay.
like math and history. That's
You have to take running or...
and then they go through the 8th grade, graduate, go to high school, and then to college. So, but I think that I think it's worked out for the best, and I think Vermont has dealt quite well with the loss of population that we're undergoing.
Yeah. I have to say, in your experience in life from, over here, it looks like sports...
Over here, identify where, over here.
In this chair.
Yeah.
I think that sports has played a huge part in your ability to be in the community in a helpful and participatory way. And was that something that you were aware of, or it was just part of the program and eventually you saw the incredible importance of it?
Well, I coached Little League. I was involved in coaching secondary students in sports, and now to be able to be involved in the Mountaineers, which I think is a remarkable organization, attracts people from all over the state, and the city of Montpelier is very proud of them. And not the city of Montpelier is proud of people surrounding Montpelier.
Yeah.
Are very pleased with the Mountaineers and what it's done for the quality of life.
Well, I think that's true. The amount of, public, relatively accessible entertainment is pretty rare in Montpelier.
Well, now, when I go to the games, like last night, the parents were there and they brought children, maybe sometimes 5 or 6 years of age. And, well, you can't bring the person 50 miles away. That's not, but it's practical if you're within 20 miles or 25 miles of Montpelier. But it's an opportunity for mothers and fathers give an outlet to their children, something you normally wouldn't have without having a team like the Mountaineers,
Yeah.
or a like team. There are other colleges that have teams and so on, but the league that we're involved in the Mountaineers is that they're the best college students sports, and the fact that they might live in Bennington and live out of state, they get to know the state of Vermont. But also, it's just important for the state to have opportunities for young people. The young players end up playing. Some of it, like Robin Roberts, have gone have become total stars and been recognized as stars. But they brings to Vermont. The league brings to the Vermont opportunities that a good sports team would normally do, and which we I praise them for their presence.
I think you're right. It brings the caliber up a little bit.
Yes, and it means a lot to some of them. Actually end up could get a salary of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000
For playing ball.
for playing baseball.
Wow. That is so amazing.
And then to have Reverend Roberts being not only a remarkable pitcher, but a remarkable person, he and his wife, to have people of that caliber it's added a lot to our state.
Well, I think that's part of it for me too, is that all those assets are here. And we need people like you to recognize them for what they are. And these opportunities that you've been involved with have been very successful. And can I brag? I mean, is it really 68 of your students became legislators? I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
it's
staggering
yeah.
number of successful students coming out of your class. And it's a really great thing for Vermonters to see that their peers or cohorts or classmates are taking names and writing letters. You know what I mean? They're doing it. So I am ever grateful to you, Bill, for your complete devotion to the youth of Vermont, for their abilities and also for your faith. I mean, I think it's very
I give a lot of credit to Brian Gallagher and the
wonderful.
leadership and the Mountaineers for doing that, and it's a remarkable entertainment, and it's playing. Teams come from all over the state of Vermont, even from out of state, play in the league, and it's good all the way around, and you can. A lot of the players who are quite good graduate when they graduate from college. You're looking at salaries of $40,000, $50,000, $60,000.
So, Bill, we only have 1 minute left. Would you have played for the Mountaineers if they had asked you?
Well, I mean, as much as I love baseball, I think that the quality of the league is such that I wouldn't have matched up well against. I'm not in that league.
I don't know. You got me hooked.
Well, I know you're.
I think you got the bug. You could have taken it.
No,
The Mountaineers would have been honored to have you, I'm sure.
I know who I am and what my capabilities are, but we're not. I'm not in the same league as the Mountaineers.
Really?
No.
Well, they are stellar. They're great. And I gotta say, I'm looking forward to the next game.
Well, I am too. I have to say it's probably the most beautiful field in the state of Vermont.
It's really gorgeous.
It's unbelievable, and the parents take the children to it. The food that they serve is excellent. It's just a win-win situation all the way around. That's what defines the Mountaineers.
That's what defines you. Mon ami. So thank you, Bill.
Well,
Thank you from the students of the state of Vermont and the players of great baseball everywhere.
well,
We thank you.
Well, I also thank you for being a practicing artist. I thank you for being an editor of a recent book on Vermont, and we're very proud of the contributions that you have made as a Johnson graduate.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we get the handshake?
Of course. How about this
Oh, yeah.
handshake? Thank you, Seth, thank you for a great interview, Sophie.
Thank you, Bill, for a great interview.